Hello, my name is Oliver. Most people call me the coach. My real name is Oliver Adams. Hey, today on this episode of Talk Your Truth Thursday, I want to introduce myself to you and maybe give you some context as who I am and where I came from. So I just don't show up on social media as this get rich quick kind of dude. Actually, I hail from somewhere. What I mean by that is that I came and grew up in the city of Philadelphia. I went to South Philadelphia High. How far is that from the stadium to give you some kind of context? It's about half a mile from the stadium. That's the Flyer Stadium. That's the Sixer Stadium. That's the Eagle Stadium. That means I'm a true Philadelphian. But what happened back in 82, I caught myself trying to venture out to find out what is my purpose in life. So I joined the military. I went in the military at the age of 18. And I'm not going to talk about the year, but I would tell you this. I had a successful year. I retired at the age of 42 after 22 years of service. I think I did a pretty good thing. Now, my mother, she's no longer with me. God bless her soul. She was so proud of her. My nickname in Philly, everybody from Philly have a nickname. My nickname is called Bones, but my rapper's name was Ali Mack. That's how I used to rap, so to speak. So how do I fast forward to get to who I am? Well, after 22 years in the military, I had to define what I wanted to do. So while in the military, back in 91, we went to this place called Saudi Arabia, for Operation Desert Storm. And while I was in Operation Desert Storm, I'm saying to myself, oh my goodness, we're here 6, 8, 9 months, and we're not doing anything. We're waiting for the conflict or for the combat to begin. So I started thinking of a master plan. Ain't that much sweat in the palm of my hand. So I dug it in my pocket, all my money spent. I dug it deeply. Still came up with land. Shout out to Ron Kim. So I said to myself, I need to come up with a strategy that would allow me to be in two places at one time. So when I went back to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where I was stationed at after my tour of duty, I started looking around for opportunity. And the first thing I ran up on was people between the age of 48 and 54. These folks weren't in the military, but they was driving nice cars and they dressed well. And so I approached one or two of them. I said, hey, let me ask you a question. What is it that you do for a living? One gentleman said, you know what? I sell real estate. I'm like, yo, if he can do this, then I can do it. Then I seen this young lady. I mean, she had a beautiful car. She presented herself well. So I approached her and I said, ma'am, without disrespect, I'm still in uniform. And I said, can I ask you a question? And she said, yes, you can. I said, what is it that you do for a living? And she said, I do real estate. Well, the light bulb went off of my mind. I said, back in 91, if she could do real estate and he could do real estate, and this average age between 48 and around 54, why don't I go and do real estate? So I made my way down to the local college, went and got my real estate license, and immediately started focusing on real estate. So how did you do it, Oliver? I'm glad you asked. When I was in the military, here was the problem. They did not want me to sell to people that outranked me. And they did not want me to sell to people that was lower ranking. They called it fraternization. So I was stuck between a rock and a hard place because I had this drive in me to sell real estate. So what I've done, I went immediately and started building a team so that I can mask myself outside of the contract as a part of my team. So in Fayetteville, North Carolina, back in 92, 93, and 94, I had a team of 8 super soldiers. And I call these super soldiers my real estate warriors because all of them, like me, had one thing in mind, and that's to sell real estate. And in doing so, we were not even selling real estate. I was acquiring real estate. I was purchasing because I believed in the product as well. That's a little context about who I am. So I've got my real estate broker license back in 94, 96, and I still was hard charging. That wasn't enough for me. I was young. I was ready to go. I'm buying real estate. I'm selling real estate. And I got to that point in my life where I was going to drop out of the military just to do real estate 110%. And it was this dentist. I remember it like it was yesterday. This dentist says to me, he said, what are you doing, young man? You at the 12-year mark. And being at the 12-year mark, you need to really consider if you're just going to drop out of real estate. Yes, I know you have 2 major offices. You have your team. You're probably making money. But if you hang in there just a little longer, you can retire. See, I didn't have retirement on my mind. I just had the next transaction on my mind. So after some consultations, I decided to hang in there. And guess what the military did? The military gave me these orders called what they call PCS orders, permanent change of station. So I had to negotiate and deal with some people I know so I can get a halfway decent place that I could still do real estate. So they stationed me from Fort Bragg all the way over to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. And in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, I was out there and I was doing the job that was tasked to do. But more importantly, I immediately opened up my own real estate company. Why? Because as a broker, I could do a thing called reciprocity. So I started selling real estate. Then I joined another team. And I'm saying to myself, I can duplicate it. I can duplicate it. I can duplicate this. So I did that for a few years. Money was coming in. I was successful in my mind, and the mind of my peers, because in real estate, you can track success based upon production. Well, the military did it to me again. I got comfortable at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and now they want to send me overseas. But where did they send me? They sent me to Japan. From now on, I cannot sell real estate as a broker of my own company because I'm not there. So, but my team went to other brokerages, so I put together a deal. So while they were selling for me while I was not there, I was still replicating and making money. So when I came back from Japan in the year 2003, it put me to Atlanta, Georgia. And wow, I had two options. I could have went to DC, Chocolate City, or I could have came to Atlanta. Now, see, in 2003, they had this base called Fort McPherson. And at Fort McPherson, it was a nice base, but the upper echelon military folks kind of like dominated. It wasn't a lot of soldiers or lower rank folks. Now, at that time, I'm what they call an EAH, called first sergeant. And as a first sergeant, I had duties, responsibility at the training, mentorship, and coaching level. Well, I try to say, okay, then how can I make this work here at Fort McPherson? So I started selling real estate in Metro Atlanta. I moved out to the McDonough side because at the time it wasn't business. But those who would know who's on the south side now, the McDonough, you know that real estate and everything else in 2023 on the Metro South side of Atlanta is doing phenomenal. Well, that's a little bit about my journey coming into the aspect of the military, transitioning to the aspect of real estate. So now in 2005, I retired from the military. I did not have to work on what I'm going to do, what I want to do, and how I'm going to do it. What I actually did was transition perfectly into the thing that I love, which is real estate. Because I was my own broker, had my own firm, Oliver Adams Real Estate Brokerage Service, and I just started working. A couple of years later, I had the opportunity to serve as a board president for the Metro South Association of Realtors. Of course, I worked my way up the food chain in order to do that, meaning that those who are in real estate, you know that if you're volunteering and working with your board, you start off as a volunteer, maybe a director, maybe a chair of a committee, and maybe just a committee member. But when I started doing that, I started just working my tail off. In my mind, I was still in the military. So the habits, the behaviors, and the traits did not diminish. I went straight back to doing everything at the highest level possible. Well, after being board president, I began to work as a coach for a company called Keller Williams. And working with that, shout out to my girl, Toya Stevenson. She brought me in, she saw that potential. She said, you know what, something about you. You got this ability to be able to teach people process, system. I said, you know what, Toya, there's one more thing that you don't see. I have this perfect short-term memory and a horrible long-term memory. She said, explain it to you. I said, I could digest content, revise content, and probably, like Jay-Z said, I can even make your shit type. So I started reading, and I started with the Millionaire Real Estate thing, right? And I started reading that. I'm saying to myself, I see the systems, the flow, the schematics. And in my mind, I started dissecting that and say, you know what? There's no reason a real estate professional should not be subscribing to a certain production level. That wasn't enough. So as I began to work with Keller Williams, then all of a sudden, this guy named Kevin Levent and Craig McKellen at the time came to me and offered me another opportunity. Now, at the time, they had and currently had the largest real estate firm in Georgia. So I consider that to be not only, coincidental. I'm like, why would the largest real estate firm in Georgia select me as an opportunity to go over coaching with their clients. So I made the transition. No disrespect to Keller Williams. Shout out. Y'all guys are phenomenal. It was definitely a step in the right direction. Exposed me to some more people. And I always advocate, no matter where you are in your journey or in your life, all of these steps, never burn a bridge. Never, ever burn a bridge. Because if you burn the bridge, then there's no way back if you need to go back. Some people say on the road to success, burn the bridge so you can go back. That's not what I'm referring. I'm referring to relationships matter. And if I'm in a relationship with professionals, there's no need to take it personal. So I appreciate the fact that I made the transition, came over to Better Homes and Garden Real Estate Metro Brokers, and then I found a better niche for me. Because now I had countless agents to practice my real estate coaching, my mentorship with. So it got intense there for a while. Because at the time, I had to bring a lot of tools and had to actually create content for the agents. And I made it my business to make sure that every agent that I'm coaching, that I have spent time with, that I had the ability to influence, go from an initial production level to levels beyond their belief. Because systems work. And I am a system-driven guy. So now, fast forward, we're still moving on this journey. Who is Oliver? See, that wasn't enough. I started recognizing there was a number of people that I ran into that kept having problems such as credit. I'm like, what is this thing called credit that's really challenging people? And I know what it is because I'm an adult over time, and I see it when I was in the military. But more importantly, when I got to Atlanta, Georgia, it ran rapid. I noticed people were living beyond their means. They were balling. They were doing all of these things. And I'm saying to myself, can I create a system that can help people with less than perfect credit and not charge them a penny? Well, I got in the dungeon, went back, put my hat on, and I started working. And we came out, me and a couple of friends that we came out with some substance was able to help people with less than perfect credit. We called it at the time Buyer's Credit Code. And then after a while, we had to do version 3 of Buyer's Credit Code because at the end of the day, we had to keep up with the time. So in all actuality, the system now is the credit coaching system, complete with it everything a person, a consumer, a purchaser ever need in order to get out of this credit maze and trap. And believe me, if you still robbing Peter to pay Paul, and I understand some people have to do that, but you don't have to do it forever. And I'm not going to go on this show, which I'm introducing myself to you, and say, take these 3 easy steps, and you too can make $1 million, and you can do this, and you can do that. Everything is not for everybody. You're going to have to find your niche. And credit is the gateway to success. Most people that are successful don't use their own money. Back in the day, we used to call it OPM, other people's money. Now you got the venture capitalists, you got people investing, you have a different myriad of different things that people do as they work their way through getting capital. So how did that work for individual less than perfect credit? Here's the mindset. If you're always thinking about paying off your debt, you will always have debt because that's where your mind draws to. I would say a budget is necessary, a focus, and maybe some discipline in the area of denying yourself things that you can put off to another day to get that debt ratio below the threshold. And some people say 30% debt to income ratio is a pretty good start. I'm saying, look, get that thing below 15%. In the military, we used to sing a cadence talking about wine, you dirty skunk. Every time I drink you make me drunk. St. Peter, don't call me because I can't go, because I owe my soul to the grocery store. That's the way debt works. Debt is this thing that the more you play with it, the more it entraps you. And the people that I see getting trapped the most are college students, because when they go to school, and my son would graduate from Morehouse college, and I told him as he went to Morehouse, I said, listen, they're going to offer you credit cards, and it's going to be enticing. Try not to do it. Because already student loans is a trap, credit cards is a trap, and the third victim of credit debt is the individual that goes through a bankruptcy, Chapter 7, and they redo the behaviors all over again, getting back in debt because they slate got clean. So I'm telling you, on that aspect, I wrote a book, and that book is called Fix Your Credit, Transform Your Life. You can find it on Amazon at Fix Your Credit, Transform Your Life. The strategies in this book has helped countless people correct, remedy, and increase their credit score. And on the credit coaching system, we have over 10,000 users that are comfortably in the system. It is a Metro Atlanta Better Business Bureau approved system with zero complaints over 18 years. It's been a silent partner to a lot of people. Now, the new generation of web designers, social media folks, they say, Oliver, go out there and get a whole bunch of testimonies and throw it out there. I know for me, if I'm fixing my credit, I don't want you to know that I'm fixing my credit. That's like a personal scenario there. It's like going to see the priest and I'm confessing my sin. Some people say, well, you know what? If you confess that's the sin, you could be better. Nah, some sins you need to leave where they at. And the way my spending habits were set up, because in the military, it used to be this. You never get rich digging a ditch. Then I found out a little bit at a time, that's in savings, that's in motion, that's in movement. These little partial pieces of the puzzle makes a bigger puzzle and makes a clearer picture at the very end. So now that we're finished with the credit proposition, who am I? Currently, I serve as the Georgia Association of Realtors safety advisor for the National Association of Realtors. I'm also on committees at the Georgia Association level. I'm also a director at my local board. For those who don't know what that are, that is a big proposition. These are the defenders of the real estate brand. So you got investors, you got flippers, you got a lot of folks. But as a realtor, we kind of subscribe to the highest level of ethics. And since I'm actually in this day and night, because this is a career field that I chose, I try not to be dormant. I try to participate as much as possible and stay top of mind on what's going on in the change. Also, I had the chance to be the 13th district, Congressman David Scott assistant, which is called a federal protection coordinator. Again, with my man in this, Antoine, who is also a big hitter in the real estate space. So I appreciate that opportunity a few years back, and it's that you gave me to be able to walk side by side with you and affect change on the federal level. So now that I'm doing real estate, currently I oversee over 1,000 real estate agents that are in production. The people that I kind of service go through a thing called Accelerator. And these individuals that's in this intense program have 600% more success rate of individuals that are not participating with a physical structure. That's not it. I do a lot of public speaking in Atlanta and around the world. I was that guy that was behind the curtain like the wizard. Some people knew me, some people did not know me, but I never wanted to be the individual that bragged and boast about the aspect of life and what I am and what I do. I have relationships with a lot of people, and those relationships are dear to me. I can pick up the phone and call these individuals, and if I need something, I got it. If they could pick up the phone and call me, if they need something, they got it. And that's all that matters. Relationships matter. And in the spirit of being a military retiree, we're not selfish. We like to receive, but we also like to give. And that's why I'm starting this podcast called Truth Thursday. Sometimes I get twisted on that kind of stuff. It's like Tell Your Truth Thursday. And at the end of the day, I don't know what I'm going to talk about before I start talking about it. I had a few people say, well, you need to coordinate it like this, and YouTube, you can make a lot of money and do this and do that and post it on social media. Listen, I'm old. And I'm not chasing the dollar bill. I kind of did pretty good on the first part of my life. So I'm not chasing my dollar bill. All of my kids are grown. All of them are professionals. They don't need my money. I don't need their money. I've been around the world more times than most people could ever imagine, not just for a week or 7 days. Some of the places I've been to was 3 months, 9 months, a year, and sometimes 2 years. So trust me, traveling the world is an okay thing, but if you have traveled as much as me and have been cultured, I think I have a familiarization with 7 different languages. And don't ask me to speak them all. But if you're speaking that language, I'm pretty much understanding what you're saying. So watch what you're saying if you're doing it the negative way about me or somebody I know in the audience, because I know exactly what you're talking about. So let me read. Now, my first book that I wrote was called Power to Live Through Obstacles. I believe the challenge in life is obstacles. And today, I think most people are really overwhelmed with so many obstacles, be it financial, be it family, be it relationship. Obstacles come whether you want them or you don't want them. Do they define who you are? Absolutely not. How you hurdle the obstacle is the reason you are who you are. Some of you listening to me have been through some things that I can only imagine. I've never had cancer. I respect those who have already had cancer and was challenged by it and came up on the other side clean. I think they are some of the greatest fighters in the world because it takes faith, it takes perseverance, and it takes a little touch from God to be able to get through that. So listen, no matter what's happening in your life, speak your truth, talk your truth, talk your truth. Thursday is going to be about randomness. Matter of fact, I'm title it unscripted. I don't want a script. If we put somebody in the seat that I know and we start a conversation, just if I call you and I need you to sit in the seat, I'm not going to sing you a script. Either you know it or you don't know it. If you don't know it, I'll give you a lifeline and I'll reel you out of that situation. But Talk Your Truth Thursday is about people being themselves, and hopefully that's what you're looking for. So if you like this, please hit like, subscribe, make a comment, share. I can be found on YouTube at Oliver Adams Coach. At the end of the day, I'm doing this to share some of the things that I went through. And just to put it simply, the things I shared today is only a fraction, a small fraction of some of the things I've been through. But I wanted you to know the journey continues. I'm meeting a lot of good friends. And on this journey, I would like to meet you, be it socially or in person. Thank you very much. You can find me on oliveradams.com, on social media, Oliver Adams Coach or Coach Oliver Adams. At the end of the day, I'm wishing you success, and success starts yesterday. It doesn't start today. We build and we build. And whenever you find yourself not doing anything, ask yourself this question. What could I build today to make my tomorrow or the people I love and like tomorrow better? Keep that in mind. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Oliver. Most people call me the coach. Have a great day.